Hey everyone, thank you for joining me. So I picked out 10 knives that I think would make great gifts for Christmas 2023. Now I chose a variety of different styles of knives since everybody's different, and depending on who you're going to get this for, I hope this makes your decision a lot easier. But I'm going to go through them as fast as I can and just kind of point out some of the cool features of these knives. So let's get right into it. We're going to start off with the Civivi Vaquita 2. Now this is a great little neck knife, just perfect little EDC for, honestly, I'd highly recommend this for hiking or camping, even everyday use or EDC, since it's very, very lightweight and very small and compact, which you won't even notice it around your neck. Now it does come with a great little sheath, and you do get a chain that comes along with it so you can put it around your neck, but I personally just use a paracord and it works beautifully that way. And another thing is it has really good ergos for the size, but one thing I do like is that they included a lanyard hole so that you can add obviously a lanyard, and your grip will be a lot easier, more comfortable. And the poon on this kukri style blade definitely locks in your fingers. Another thing I really like about this is it's easy to maintain, really, really easy to clean. As you can see, not much going on, and very, very thin. I think this would do great for food prep, especially camping, but even everyday carry tasks. Excellent, excellent knife. And this has the Nitro V steel, excellent steel, and this is coming in at $52, which I think is an awesome price. And just so you guys know, I'm going to leave a link down below in the description where you guys can pick up these knives. Next up, we have the Civivi Odium. Just a great little pocket knife. I use this as a fifth pocket knife. Just tucks away nicely. And as you can see, I don't have the original pocket clip on here. It comes with originally a deep carry pocket clip. But what's really cool about the Civivi and Sencut knives that I have here on the table, you can actually buy these milled titanium pocket clips from Civivi. They have them on Amazon for a really good price, but you can swap them out, and they work again on Civivi and Sencut knives. But getting back to the Odium, just a great little snappy, actioned EDC. And you can see it has a very generous front finger choil here. So if you do have large hands, I have medium to large, but if you do have large hands, I think you're going to be just fine, since if I had another pinky, it would fit perfectly in here. And again, just surprisingly well designed, ergos wise. And you do have 3 forms of deployment, or sorry, 2. You have the slot for thumb and spidey flicking action. You also have a flipper tab, which really fires that blade out super fast. Now, depending on which style you get, these come in at between $33 and $43. And again, that is the Civivi Odium. Next up, we have a knife that I don't think gets enough attention. I think this is an excellent little pocket knife. Now, I'll show you the cool feature of this knife in here in just a second, but you do have a flipper tab for deployment. And this is the CRKT Cottidae, or Cottidae, I don't know how you say it, but it's a Voxus design, so you already know it's going to be awesome ergos, which it is. You can see you have a very generous finger choil, very interesting shape of the choil, but again, you can get a full grip on there. Again, I have enough room for an extra pinky, so if you do have large hands, excellent, excellent knife. Now, obviously, the smaller knives on this list are great for people with small hands as well. Forgot the steel of this blade. If it's not on here, I'll put it up on screen, but excellent, excellent knife. Now, the coolest part about this knife is you can see this textured button here. If you slide it up or to the side, slide it up to the side and up, this knife actually disassembles into 3 pieces. The blade comes out too. Let's see if I can get this off. There we go. So you have 3 pieces. Now the beauty of this design is if you know somebody who's outdoorsy or works in a very, I guess, dirty environment where there's just a lot of mess, they can just disassemble it, wash it out, and assemble it very, very easily, which I'm going to try to do my best to show you guys. And you're back in business. So You just close it up and the action is still perfect. Writing on bearings. You do have a deep carry pocket clip, which is reversible. It's a nice touch that they did that, so lefties aren't left out. And overall, just a great little design, again, for somebody who deals with a lot of mess during the day. But that is the CRKT Cottidae, and this is coming in at $40. Next up, we have the Sencut Kyril. I really love this design, very simple and clean. And as you can see, very stealthy, all blacked out, which I think looks really good. And the action on this thing is very snappy. This thing flies out with the flipper tab, and of course writing on bearings, so really good action. And as you can see, a very generous front finger choil. So again, in the ergos department, fits comfortably, very nice. And as you can see, I can fit an extra pinky, maybe two. If I had two extra pinkies, it would be just fine. So if you do have large hands, I think you're going to be just fine. Now this is a ferrum forged design, so again, I think that's why I was drawn towards this knife. But again, very clean design. The pocket clip is reversible, so great for you lefties. And really quick, I forgot to mention on the Odium, it is possible to reverse the pocket clip, so great for lefties as well. So this is the Sencut Kyril, coming in at $44, and I think maybe a couple more dollars for a different variant, but just a great little EDC knife. Next up, we have the Bestechman Ronan. Now this is the premium version, but I really love this knife, and the budget version comes in at $52. So I don't have one of those. I am going to pick one of them up because I really love this design, but the action is just really good for the Axis style locking system here. So one thing I really love about it is when you close an Axis style knife, typically from Benchmade, the blade will actually bounce. As you can see right there, it does bounce. But the beauty of this version Axis style lock from Bestechman is it grabs it. So even if you don't close it all the way, as long as you can get it close, it will literally grab it and suck it in. So I think this is really great. Not only is the action really good, but the ergos on this knife are just really simple and just very comfortable is what I'm trying to say. And you do have, it's not technically a front finger choil, but you can squeeze your finger in there and choke up on that blade a little bit. But excellent ergos. This does not allow you to reverse the pocket clip, which is really interesting because it is an Axis style knife. So it would be perfect for lefty and righty, but for some reason they didn't do that. But I still recommend this knife since the action is amazing. Ergos are really great. And you have two options of deployment. So you have the dual thumb stud, so you can use your thumb or spidey flick it. Again, writing on bearings, if I haven't mentioned that before, so really smooth action. And then of course you can use the Axis style to release the lock and just let that blade fly out. Again, this is the Bestechman Ronan, and this is coming in at $52. Again, this is the premium model, but the budget one comes in at $52. Highly recommend this one as well. Next up, we have the Vosteed Bellamy. Now this knife really surprised me. I wasn't visually drawn to it, but once I got this thing in hand and used the flipper tab, it just, again, really surprised me. That blade flies out like a rocket, and you do have 3 ways of deploying this blade: flipper tab, front flipper tab, and then dual fullers. So flipper tab is my favorite just because it really launches it out. You can spidey flick it with that fuller tab. Obviously use your thumb, and the front flipper tab works just as good. But one thing I really like about this blade is not only is it very slim and just, again, really simple and clean design, the texture they did on this micarta, the milling, it's very aggressive and grippy. So if your hands get wet or for whatever reason, I mean, this thing is not going to slip out of your hands. Again, I really love that feature. And I would say this thing would make a great steak knife, since you have just a bit over, a little bit over 3 inches. So, I mean, this thing can just really slice through anything. And again, the action on this, it is riding on bearings, is just crazy good for how light and thin that blade is. So this is one knife I would really recommend just for its sleekness, if that's even a word. But you can reverse the pocket clip, so to left-hand carry, which is a nice feature. And again, this is the Vosteed Bellamy, coming in at just under 80 at $79. Excellent, excellent knife. And I believe this has 154, yeah, 154 in steel. So again, excellent, excellent steel. Next up, we have one of my personal favorites. This is the Civivi Conspirator. Now, I am not a big fan of button locks, just because lately there's been some issues. And this one is done very, very well. I do trust Civivi's button locks, and surprisingly even their Sencut button locks, which I don't have right now, but I think they do a great job. And this knife is just, again, a simple design, but just beautifully done. And as you can see, I use this quite a bit, but the ergos on this are really, really good since it has that neutral design, so fits comfortably in hand. Again, extra pinky, and it does have, I'd say it has enough front finger choil there to actually choke cut, but it definitely puts you really close to that edge, but still very, very comfortable. And again, the action is very, very good. It is riding on bearings, so very, very snappy action. Drop shed is, of course, very smooth. And you do have a flipper tab for deployment. And then you have these dual fullers that are just deep enough to where you can actually spidey flick it or use your thumb to deploy it. So really, really happy with the options you get for deployment. And of course, you can use that button to deploy as well. I believe this is Nitro V steel. Yeah, so it is Nitro V steel. You're getting an excellent steel. I think Nitro V is great, and it really etches well if you're a knife customizer like me. But the pocket clip is originally deep carry, and it is reversible. But as you can see, I do have the titanium Civivi milled pocket clip installed. Again, that's the beauty of Civivi and Sencut. That pocket clip works on these knives. And it does come in a variety of materials for the scales, and so does the Bestechman Ronan, the Sencut Kyril, and then the Civivi Odium definitely has a lot more options. That's something I forgot to mention as well. A lot of these knives have quite a bit of different variations on materials. But again, this is the Civivi Conspirator, and it is coming in at $67, which I think is crazy good for what you're getting here. Now, this next knife is a recent purchase, but I already love this knife. This is the Sencut Glidestrike. Now, this is a very, very large and thin knife. So if you know somebody who has very large hands, I mean, this thing is going to be perfect. As you can see, when I choke up on the front finger choil, which is very generous, you have a lot of room back here, and I'm talking three and a half pinkies left. So even with just the regular grip, you have enough room for another pinky. So I'd say this knife is meant for people with large hands, just because of the size and how comfortable it is with the amount of room you have. Now, this thing is crazy thin. The blade stock is crazy thin, so this thing slices through anything, no problem at all. And the action on this thing is just crazy good. It is riding on bearings, and as you can see, this thing drop shuts very, very easy. Now, you do have the holes or slots for deployment, but one thing I realized is you can actually front flip this if you get it at the right angle. And there it is. Struggled a little bit, but it is possible to use this as a front flipper tab. Again, takes a little practice, but you can do it. And the slot works great for the thumb flick and then also the spidey flick. Now, you do get different variations. So that is nice about the Sencut Glidestrike here. You do have a reversible deep carry pocket clip, which is nice. Again, you can install the milled titanium clip if you'd like. And you also get different flavors, if I didn't mention that before. But just a really, really great knife overall. It's safe to say that this is a very large EDC. So again, if you know somebody with large hands, excellent, excellent knife. I'd even go as far as to say this would make a great camping knife. I mean, you do have a lot of blade there to slice and food prep and just kind of do your thing. But just overall, excellent, excellent knife from Sencut. Again, this is the Sencut Glidestrike, and it is coming in at just 42 bucks, which is a crazy good deal. Next up, we have one of my favorites from Cold Steel. I like a lot of Cold Steel knives, but this one is really, really nice. Again, a very simple design. Now, this is the Cold Steel Voyager, and you do get a variety of style-shaped blades. This one is the drop point. I believe there's a clip point, a tanto, and you also get versions that are serrated. So a lot of options with the Voyager line here. The thing I really, really love about Cold Steel is their triad lock. Just makes it super, super strong. And these knives can take a beating. I do have another one coming up on the list, but with this triad lock, you can really beat up this knife. And I've used this camping earlier this year and batoned it a little bit and did a little bit of work with whittling. Nothing too crazy, some food prep, but just overall really, really great design. And the ergos are really, really good. And one thing I do like about this, it's Grivex plastic material for scales, but they did an excellent job with this really aggressive texture. So if your hands do get wet or dirty, you can really have a lot of traction on the handles. Excellent amount of jimping, which is something I really, really like that they did. And you do have this bit of a flat section here to choke up and get those nice fine cuts if you're doing some whittling or just really, really small cuts somewhere. But overall, just a great large knife. They do have an XL version, which I'm not going to say it is under 80, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is for the XL as well. But you do have AUS 10A steel, which I have no issues with. I know a lot of people do, but I think it's a great steel, and Cold Steel does an awesome job with AUS 10A. Now, what's great about this knife is it actually comes with a extra pocket clip that you can reverse. And again, with the triad lock, it is designed for a lefty as well, since it is I guess a centered lock design. So it doesn't matter if you're left or right-handed, works beautifully with either. This one you do have dual thumb studs for deployment, which works great with the thumb. You can spidey flick it, but you got to give it some wrist action. But just excellent, excellent knife. This is riding on washers, bronze washers and nylon washers. So this can handle a lot more dirt, which is why I would recommend this for outdoor use, or if you do anything for work that requires a tool to take quite a bit of abuse. If you need to use your knife for that, I think Cold Steel can handle that. Again, this is the Cold Steel Voyager, and this is coming in at $53, and I think maybe a couple dollars extra for the different variations, but excellent, excellent knife. And last but not least, this is my personal favorite. This is the Cold Steel Formax Scout. Now, if you're trying to find a overbuilt, strong, sturdy tank of a knife for somebody, I highly recommend the Formax Scout. This is, again, just a solid, solid knife, and I couldn't recommend it any more for outdoor use, especially camping. I used it this year. I did a full video and a test with this thing, and it can take a beating, and I batoned this quite a bit. There is still no blade play. The action is still very, very smooth. Again, this is riding on silicone bronze washers and nylon washers, so it can handle a lot of use outdoors and dirt and all that kind of stuff. So just, again, just a great all-around knife. If you need a knife to handle a lot of hard work, this is the knife for you guys. Or if you're going to get it for somebody, this is just beautifully done. I love the stone wash that Cold Steel does. Again, this is AUS 10A steel. which I think they do great work on, or heat treat, sorry. But you do have dual thumb studs for deployment. So you do kind of have to give this one a little bit of wrist, since, I mean, this is a chunker, and there's really nothing more I can say other than it is a beast. Excellent, excellent ergos. Again, my medium to large size hands fit beautifully in the center, so if I had 2 extra pinkies, no problem. And if I choke up on this, it's just as comfortable. And again, you can choke up and get those finer cuts with the blade edge here. Another thing I really like is the Grivex handles aren't my favorite, but the texturing they did, I think, definitely makes it a lot better. So if your hands do get wet, you can grip this and not have to worry about it slipping out of your hand. And what I think makes this knife so strong, other than the triad lock, which is just strong within itself, is you do have steel liners, which I think do help in the strength department. So I'm going to say it again, this knife is a beast, it's a tank, and it can handle a lot of abuse. So if you're trying to find a tank of a knife for somebody, this is the knife I would recommend. So that is the Cold Steel Formax Scout, coming in at $74, which is just crazy for the amount of blade you're getting and just the overall size and just the material. I think is an excellent, excellent knife. So there are my top 10 pocket knives under $80 for Christmas this year in 2023. So again, I hope this video helps you guys, and I hope you guys have a great Christmas. Enjoy it. Spend as much time as you can with your families. And as always, thank you for watching. I truly, truly appreciate it. And I will see you guys on the next one.